We have been in the market for the past 3 years and deeply involved with the Brazilian market. Brazil was always the number one market for us.
Our number one market right now is Brazil, and we are very strong in LATAM. We have stable presence as well in Brazil.
We are really strong in Latin America right now. Brazil is in fact our biggest market. We also have a local team in Brazil right now. We are pushing harder in this particular market.
A lot of international brands are coming right now in Brazil, and we see that there is a little bit of confusion right now in Brazil. There are over 30 cities and states offering regulation, so this is a little bit confusing for brands, especially for brands that doesn't know the market very well.
We saw very strong shifts from the dot-com days to the new regulated market. It was literally on the 31st of December, we were operating in a certain way, and after midnight, we were operating in a completely different way because we have millions of players involved and billions of transactions on a daily basis. The impact was strong. So I can say that we had across the board contraction of GGR, contraction of active players, but I can say that now the activity levels are back to what we saw in December.
I consider Brazil right now as a new beginning for both operators and providers. So this is a very interesting situation and opportunity for us because I think we are allowed to fully unleash our creativity now in Brazil in order to create new things to approach the players. So all these people is bringing like a totally new mindset and faster innovation pace. We know that in Brazil, there are significant cultural behavioral differences across the regions. You have to find what I like to call those hidden gems of the market before others do it, obviously. I think Brazil will be growing even faster than its neighbors.
Hello everyone, this is Faruk and welcome to RevPanda Live. Today we are setting our sights on a market which has been always on the radar for iGaming brands with its potential, Brazil. Now the Brazilian market is undergoing a significant transformation. It is 2025 and the iGaming regulations are here and they are the new ones that we just started to witness since the beginning of the year. And the market is, as you can see, shifting rapidly. At RevPanda Live today, for the first time, we are going to have a panel set up, and our expert guests are here to break down everything you need to know about the Brazilian iGaming market. Whether you're an operator, an affiliate, or B2B provider, I'm sure this session will be your go-to market guide. My guests today are Thiago Almeida, CEO of ODDSGATE, Alessandro Gherardi, founder at Fomenta Agency, and Sergio Segovia, Regional Director for LATAM at Endorphina. Gentlemen, welcome to RevPanda Live. I'm so excited to have you with us today. Before we start, maybe we can have a round of introduction of yourselves. Maybe you can also let our listeners know about your companies as well and tell them what you do. Thiago, may I start with you, maybe?
Absolutely. Thank you, Faruk, for the invitation and for organizing this amazing session. My name is Thiago Almeida. I'm CEO of ODDSGATE. We are a platform. We provide operators with technology, with a turnkey solution. We have been in the market for the past 3 years, so since 2022, and deeply involved with the Brazilian market. Even if we have clients in other jurisdictions, Brazil was always the number one market for us. We have offices in Portugal, also opening offices in Brazil. So since day one, it was a very important market for our organization.
Amazing. Maybe Alessandro, we can go ahead with you.
Okay. Hi, Faruk. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting us in this fantastic podcast. So my name is Alessandro Gherardi. I'm co-founder and director of Fomento. We are a global affiliate network. Our number one market right now is Brazil, and we are very strong in LATAM. We have a stable presence as well in Brazil. We have an office there. We have the company is based in UK, but recently we opened our branch in Brazil to follow the regulation. So we work with the regulated brands in Brazil, and we are looking forward to add more in the near future.
Fantastic. And Sergio, your turn.
Hello, Faruk. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us in this such an interesting space to discuss about Brazil. I'm Sergio Segovia. I'm currently the regional director for Latin America at Endorphina. We are an international slots content provider, basically. And we are really strong in Latin America right now. Brazil is in fact our biggest market, same to all. And we also have a local team in Brazil right now, so we are pushing harder in this particular market.
Amazing. So I have the feeling we have got a fantastic guest line today because everybody has like strong market over there in Brazil and a lot of experience. So I'm really excited for that. Tiago, I would like to start with you. Um, Maybe you can give us a brief overview of the market. Maybe you can tell more about the current state of the iGaming market over there in Brazil.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, for our audience, it's important to explain that Brazil is a market that was always pushed by a lot of brick and mortar operations since, let's say, 2010, 2011. We started to saw operators that had regional presence with a few shops selling tickets. So the market was back then sportsbook driven. And in 2018, we saw the introduction of the preliminary law still introduced by President Temer. And in 2020, two factors occurred. The first factor was introduction of PIX, and the second 1 year before, actually 6 months before, 7 months before. And then we saw COVID, right? And since then, the market quickly shifted to online. So we don't have anymore, let's say, this regional presence of small operators with a few shops. Instead, we saw a very fast explosion of brands operating online. As we all know, in 2023, it was introduced the framework, and in 2024, we started to see ordinances being published. And of course, now on the 1st of January, we have the shift to the regulated market. What we are seeing now is a very strong consolidation of operators. So we saw smaller brands being acquired by bigger brands, in some cases, international groups that decided to step into the market and to acquire a presence. Also to get, let's say, in some cases, also to get manpower, talented individuals that could drive the operation forward, and then rebranding the brand to the international brand, and or in other cases, operators that decided to occupy the 3 slots that the license has available with different brands. With the regulation, we saw also, let's say, a very strong streamline of processes. We saw a big reduction of costs, and it's very good that we have two suppliers here, and also actually 3 suppliers, but 2 that are directly involved with, let's say, revenue share. Alexander, maybe in your case you have revenue share and CPA, but we'll discuss that soon perhaps. But we had to adapt, and we had a very strong consolidation of costs. So perhaps the margins and the very generous margins that suppliers saw before, they don't really exist now, mostly impacted by a strong taxation that is occurring. We saw some operators being heavily taxed, and we know that the direct tax is only 12% of the GGR, but on top of that, there is a very strong withholding. This is probably the main reason why my colleagues here in the panel also have companies in Brazil, but tax efficiency is also a very strong drive now.
Absolutely, and you were mentioning about the regulations, and it's one of the hot topics, that we see in the market now. I would like to switch to you, Alessandro. And by the way, everyone, you can step in anytime if you would like to add something on top of the other guests' comments. Alessandro, since the implementation of the new iGaming regulations, what has been, their most significant initial impact, according to you?
So regarding the regulation, we saw in January a lot of brands that paused the campaigns, right? Paused the offers for restoring and for to apply for the new, for example, for the new Face ID that is required by the regulation, for the new withdrawal policy, for the no bonus policy from the regulator as well, right? But we are seeing now, especially after Sigma in Brazil, we are seeing now a lot of strong operators coming back with their offers live. A lot of international brands that are coming right now in Brazil, because I believe a lot of international and regulated brands all over the world, they are coming right now in the second part of the year. And we see that there is a little bit of confusion, let's say, because there is, of course, the federal regulation, no? The federal regulation in Brazil, but there are a lot of state regulations, city regulation as well. Right now in Brazil, there are over 30 cities and states offering regulation. So this is a little bit confusing for brands, especially for brands that doesn't know the market very well, and they are not with both on the ground, no. So that's a little bit complicated, but the regulation is good for the market because it's increasing the value. It's increasing the value also for us, for affiliates. It's giving to the affiliate peace of mind to work with the brands. We saw some reduction of revenue share and CPA based on the taxation that Thiago already mentioned. And of course, this is let's say an issue in short term for affiliates, but in medium and long term, I think we will be back stronger with our deals.
Amazing. And Tiago, you work with operators like day to day. Same with you guys. Like they're all in your radar. And I agree with Alessandro. There was a little bit confusion. Even like for this session, I think I can share this. I invited like the three top operators, and they wanted to join with their country manager level. But what happened is their PR managers told hold off because they are still analyzing, the media regulations and how they need to represent the brand. So that's one of the reasons we couldn't have an operator. So definitely, I agree. Tiago, I want to just turn to you and ask you actually the response from the market. Like, how have iGaming operators responded to these new regulations?
Well, on our specific case, or in our specific case, we saw a very strong shifts from, let's say, the dot-com days to the new regulated market. This demanded operators and us as the software providers to create new instances, and such instances, as Alessandro mentioned, had to be reinforced with new QIC flows, with new biometric identification, with new retention tools, and of course connecting with the Brazilian government, with the federal in our case, because our clients are all federal. It was very good your point, Alessandro, but in our case they are all federal. Also connecting with SIGAP, SPA, to provide, let's say, activity reports. This was very fast in our specific case because it was literally on the 31st of December we were operating in a certain way, and after midnight we were operating in a completely different way. Naturally, and because we have millions of players involved and billions of transactions on a daily basis, the impact was strong. So I can say that we had across the board contraction of GGR, contraction of active players, because not only the tools were new, but also the audience was not educated to use such tools. So there was a big effort to educate affiliates, influencers, to produce marketing materials to explain the audience this is the reality now. There is new added value and enhanced protection for the player. However, in order to comply, you need to do your QIC like this, you need to show your document like that, and after that you will be able to deposit and to restore your gaming activity. This was very important shift in the market. So we saw, of course, a bit of friction across the board, but I can say that now the activity levels are back to what we saw in December. Actually, already passed a bit.
That's great news. And Alessandro was also saying more or less the same. So he's expecting, things coming back pretty soon. And I want to switch to you, Sergio, because you're not only, operating in Brazil, you're not only an expert on that market, but you actually know a lot about the rest of the LATAM market. How does the Brazilian gaming market seem to you when compared to the other Latin markets in terms of growth potential and maybe market saturation? Can you share your input with us?
Yeah, sure. When I start thinking about these comparisons between Brazil and what we saw in other markets in Latin America, there's a couple of ideas that immediately comes to my mind. The first one is from a casino perspective. That is, I consider Brazil right now as a new beginning for both operators and providers. Because if you look at the historical prohibition on the land-based casinos and other social and cultural aspects, you can easily notice that Brazil doesn't really have the kind of cultural heritage of traditional casinos that you can see in many other places, even in the region. So, for instance, when we talk about traditional slot symbols such as fruits, coins, bells, I don't think this will be so popular in future in the market, or at least it won't reach the same level of dominance that we see it have in many other countries till today. So this is a very interesting situation and opportunity for us, because I think we are allowed to fully unleash our creativity now in Brazil in order to create new things to approach the players. So for sure, we will see many emerging trends inside Brazil, different to what is happening in the rest of LATAM. Um, and this same situation have an additional impact, which is over the people who is currently driving the industry in the local market. Because most of the people who is in charge of the local operators in Brazil, obviously they are not coming from traditional casinos. They are coming from many other kind of native digital businesses. So all these people is bringing like a totally new mindset and a faster innovation pace, let's put it in that way. So this is a really good scenario for the whole environment, right? And the second thing I would like to mention is about the regionalization of the strategies, which has been something really relevant in markets such as Mexico or in Colombia in the past. Um, we know that in Brazil, there are significant cultural and behavioral differences across the regions. So now you can see some big operators aiming for national coverage, but most of them tends to focus on certain specific regions or even states. And this is something key when you are trying to approach or to enter in such a competitive and big market such as Brazil, because you really need to capture those spaces in where you really can stand out. You have to find what I like to call those hidden gems of the market before others do it, obviously. And as I said before, we saw something similar in countries in where regionalization is always a key aspect in the past. So for all these reasons, I think Brazil will be growing even faster than its neighbors, especially when you look beyond the main urban areas or the big cities. There are still so many places in Brazil where new players are coming online like day by day. So yes, definitely the potential is huge, and we have to be ready for it.
Very good, very positive approach today, guys. Like that's amazing to hear. So you were mentioning about the new setup is attractive for also international brands as well. So entering the market is going to be one of the major things that brands need to consider. Alessandro, I would like to ask you about the let's say mistakes, especially international operators when they are entering the markets. What they need to avoid, when they're entering the Brazilian market, and what would be your suggestions for them?
That's a very good point, Faruk. So first of all, they need to understand that they need to tropicalize their website, because sometimes I see some websites that they are not tropicalized, as we call it. They are just translated in Portuguese, and that's not gonna work in Brazil. After that, the very important thing is pics, as Thiago mentioned as well. So your website needs to have pics visible, needs to show to the Brazilian that it's something local, that you understand the value and the importance of pics for both of withdrawals and deposits. The withdrawal needs to be instant, like needs to be in hours maximum, because if you wait 3-4 days for a withdrawal, the player is not gonna come back, and after that the fault is on us, as affiliates. So that's very important to consider. Another very important thing is you have to be present in social media. You have to be there because Brazil is the second biggest market for social media in the world after US. So everyone is on the social media 6, 7, 8 hours per day. And those are the metrics that we see in Brazil. The traffic is huge. So it's like it's very, very important to be there, to interact, to be local present in social media. And after, the last point for me is brand ambassadors. Be on with the football teams, be with local influencers. This is very important. This is not only in Brazil, but in Brazil more, because a lot of people, a lot of users buy and are influenced by those personalities, those celebrities.
I see. Tiago, at Oddsgate, I know that you have got a very particular approach to localization. So, with your team, you don't see it only just, let's say, translation of the text, but you see it, the localization of the experience, even the payment providers that are known, and so on. So maybe you have a couple of things to add on top of that.
Yes, perhaps. First of all, I completely agree with what Alessandro mentioned. This is definitely the checklist that you need in order to survive, also in the Brazilian market, to see some return of your investments. On our specific case, we saw the 7 brands that are with us are 7 brands that started from zero. So we didn't have any migration. We didn't have any operator that was with another platform in the past, and then they decided to work with us. So this created a space of mutual learning where we had to support the brands with technology and, as you said, Farouk, also creativity, also bringing our European experience in some other markets to unleash creativity and to bring results. The 7 clients we have, and this connects with what Sergio was mentioning, and I also agree, they are from different states, and their primary source of traffic is definitely from that state, at least when they started. Some of them started in 2022, some of them started in 2023, some others started in 2024. But you saw that. You saw, okay, I'm from Sao Paulo, so if you would open analytics, the number 1 state was definitely Sao Paulo. While if the operator was from Pernambuco, the number 1 source of traffic was indeed Pernambuco. Why? Because the teams are based there. They could create a digital impression there, or the first investments that were made were actually leveraged in a different way there. On top of what both Alessandro and Sergio mentioned in the previous question, I would probably say you definitely need a partner that understands the market and can translate this expertise in fast time to market solutions, because it's okay to have development, it's okay to have backlog, technical debt, and so on and so on, but we work in a revenue share. So if our operator decides to monetize a certain opportunity, and that opportunity needs different integration, different CRM, different access to data in real time, then it's our job as a partner to support that growth. And last, I would say financial planning is very important when an international brand or a new brand is deciding to set up in Brazil. Definitely, this is a very demanding and very competitive market where a big part of the world is focusing attention today. So you need to be financially prepared to compete in this market. But I would say you still need the flexibility of a startup. Don't be too tight in terms of following the metrics of your financial planning, because during the first 3-4 months of operation, you will have many opportunities. Some opportunities will be federal, so across the board, as Alessandro was mentioning. Some other opportunities will be quite small. However, sometimes the biggest return of investment is in the small investments, and we have a lot of space for that in Brazil.
Absolutely. And I think your suggestions apply both the new operators that are willing to enter the market and those established ones, because it is super dynamic. Things are changing very rapidly. So I think we can learn from all those things. Tiago, I want to continue with you. And this topic is not only for Brazilian market. In my opinion, this is really like universal. Building trust in the market, yeah, and brands are always looking to find ways to build the trust and loyalty. What would you recommend to iGaming operators to build that, trust and loyalty with the Brazilian players in this new environment?
First of all, I believe that Brazilian operators have an opportunity here to, as Alessandro mentioned, tropicalize also the relationship with the player. Perhaps here in Europe, the relationship is a bit institutional. Maybe we have terms and conditions and operators, defending themselves, using terms and conditions, and perhaps not building the community. I think building a community is very important, and this is what our operators have done, and this is also what I see when we benchmark against other operators in the market. The ones that are being successful in terms of acquisition and also retention are the ones that can build brand value towards the size and the quality of the interaction of the community. The market is very big, the population is very big also, but you can always find a space with your social media strategies, with your email marketing, retention strategies to create custom made content. And that can come in multiple ways. That can come from game suppliers, where you can create certain custom made games or certain skins of the games to attract certain specific audience. And we saw that in certain festivals, for instance, in Amazonia, they have a huge festival to Tocantins, right, where it's possible, let's say, to for days to see one community competing with another community. This is huge over there, and this is a state that is not so popular. And then also when brands communicate with their audience, the space is there. So you have the space to build that trust that is important. It's a market where the culture is very close. It's a Latin market, so they have a bit of the Portuguese, a bit of the Italian, a bit of other nationalities. So it's very important to keep your audience strong, to keep your audience engaged, and to remain relevant.
Absolutely. When you talk about the different, let's say, identities over there with the Portuguese, Italian, I think we have Alessandro, a good example, like a mix of Brazilian and Italian, right, Alessandro?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Amazing.
my mother is Brazilian, my father is Italian, and I'm
Fantastic.
half.
So
Yeah.
we need to do another session with Italian market with you. So that's
Yeah, perfect.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. Sergio, Thiago was
Forward.
talking about the importance of localization, and also he touched base on the game providers, the role of game providers, right? So I want to turn to you and ask the opportunities for game providers to create localized and engaging content for Brazilian players. What you do at Endorphina over there, or what would you suggest, for example, for the game providers in general?
Yes, sure. Look, now in Brazil, we know that operators and players are start looking for new content. They are looking for new games, new themes, new features in general. We already identified that most of the operators are looking for different content in order to grab their players' attention. They want now to differentiate, or they start thinking about to differentiate amongst them through the content, which is something kind of new because in early stages of the market, most of them were just replicating pretty much the same formulas. But now most of them, or many clients, have come to us with specific ideas about creating new content. And this is not only talking about reskin some Endorphina title that we have in the portfolio with their brands, which is the usual, but they come to us with really creative and sometimes even crazy ideas, which is really nice. So we at Endorphina, we already have custom games live in Brazil on a couple of major operators, and for sure there are more coming. We are also giving some exclusivities in existing titles to some of our partners. But in general terms, this is the kind of conversations that we really enjoy to have with the operators, and particularly in Brazil, because they are giving us like so many valuable ideas. So, and this is something crucial for us being an European company, because we definitely need that local flavor. And we know this is also something coming from the player feedback to the operator. So I can say this like it's a full circle in where we want to be, because at the end of the day, the proper localization will be always a challenge for international companies. Um, but from that point, and because we are taking the market really seriously, we already have launched a couple of specific titles for Brazil. Last year, we launched Festa Junina, or June's Party, which is a very important local festivity, particularly in the northeast region of the country. And more recently, actually we are just now launching Fortune Capybara, which, the capybara is this lovely animal that all Brazilians love, but I could say is pretty much the same in the rest of Latin America. And actually, right now, capybaras are like trendy on social media everywhere. But besides that fact, we have really high expectations about this particular game, just because it's kind of our answer to all the comments, questions, or suggestions that the operators gave to us during the last few months. So, in general terms, Brazil and its regions have an incredible rich culture, and that should be an kind of an unlimited source of ideas for creative companies that want to create the best possible and suitable content for the market. And that's what we are trying to do, definitely.
I see. So working hand in hand with operators actually can give even more opportunities for the game providers, because sometimes you can come up with a hit game at the end of the day, and it could be a collaboration with the operators. And what you said was really amazing. Like, you start the whole journey from the end user, from the players, and then build this up. And you talk about the localization, understanding even the local festivals and everything else. So I'm very excited to see. Just I want to touch base on the capybara. I visited your office in Prague, and your marketing team really
You met
crazy
him.
about it.
You met
Yes,
Cappy.
yeah. I saw all the merch and the hats. I saw that. I have got a video for this. Like, stay tuned. Alessandro, I would like to move to you. And at the beginning, we heard Thiago's fantastic overview of the market, and he was mentioning also how the operators, responded the new regulations. But maybe let's talk about players a little bit more. According to your own observation, how have the new regulations influenced player behavior in the market? Absolutely. And Tiago, at the beginning of the year, I had the chance to actually have a little bit of a demo of your system, your platform. uh, you guys have the expertise when it comes to the market and also understanding the player behavior, but also you're supporting it with the technology. So in your system right now, you can actually have the whole customer journey over there. You can reflect even the, let's say, next best move a player can do, and so on. Maybe you can tell us a bit more on that, the technological part of the player behavior and the whole journeys that you can actually create for them.
Absolutely. We always understood that it was very important to give operators flexibility around the customer journey. This is true not only in terms of communications, but also in terms of flow. So, what happens when a player registers for the first time? I'm talking even about technical compliance. How can we adapt, let's say, the technical compliance requirements to keep the operator and their instance fully compliant, but to give that player a frictionless experience? Is this possible? And in our case, that was, let's say, the $1 million question. And I think we did a very good job to give, let's say, each one of the operators independent, fully customizable instance, not only in terms of database, because that's very simple, not only in terms of banners, because that's very simple, but how to design a player journey from A to Z that could be technically compliant, so operators wouldn't jeopardize money in fines or even their licenses, without losing the agility they had before during the dot-com days. This was the most important. And I think we were very successful. So most of this, answering your question, Farouk, was done by having an architecture that is fully independent and scalable in terms of data. And then, of course, working with our partners. That is the most important. Working with payment service providers, working with CRM companies, regtechs, QIC, in order to provide an holistic experience that can be designed in a very specific way for operator A, because that's normal in Pernambuco, Recife, but maybe it's not normal in São Paulo, right? Because the culture is different, the player value is different, the expectation is different, the maturity of the database and the audience is also different. So for us, this was the most important. And today I'm very happy because, as you saw, we have that possibility. We have a drag and drop system where not only we can allow the operator to design communications, but also registration flows, communication flows, retention flows, dynamic lobbies, and so on and so on. So for us, this is very important and only possible because we work with the best partners in the industry and we do our little contribution.
Absolutely. I even saw that you're supporting your partners, your operators, with even with their marketing operations, like when it comes to SEO, branding and everything else. So this and this is a very important, thing to reflect to the market, especially for those who are entering the market from the international area. So that's something that worth to note. Sergio, Alessandro, he was talking about the game providers and cooperation in the market. So I think that's very important aspect. In Brazil, we often see betting as a like the main driver, but obviously the slot games are also important. I wanted to ask you about the most popular games among Brazilian players. Can you tell us more about this and your observation?
Okay, sure. In short, Brazilian players love high frequency games. It's true they enjoy colorful design, dynamics gameplay, and particularly culturally familiar themes. But now they are also looking for games with some kind of social features or kind of tournament options. This is something that is gaining more and more traction with the time because Brazilians they really enjoy this kind of community driving experiences. But in general terms, we have seen like different waves coming to the market through the years. At some point, years ago, when we were watching the market from outside, many people said that Brazil was mostly sportsbook and that's it. But then we quickly understand that they have like an important appetite for video bingo games. More recently, all of us saw what was the massive boom with the crash games. Light show games are also very popular till today. But now at this moment, it's definitely the moment of slots games. This is right now the vertical that is growing the most and faster. And we at Endorphina clearly can notice the trend in our partners. Our games are becoming more and more popular amongst the players. The operators are every time more interested to put slots in the center of many of their marketing strategies for acquisition or CRM or social media. So definitely this is happening. This is a really exciting moment for game producers like us. and we are ready to take leverage of this because our portfolio is 100% slots right now. So we are really happy with this switch in the trends.
Thiago, I want to turn to you on that a little bit because, as you were mentioning, you work with operators directly. How they see that? Like, are they taking the opportunities about those, let's say, new type of games, engaging games? Are they adding them into their portfolio? How do you see it?
I see it exactly as Sergio mentioned. We saw operators that were suppliers, sorry, that were not existing in December or January, and now are growing double digits. Why? Because the quality of the game is there, right? But there was also, let's say, some effort from the supplier side to cater for certain specifics in terms of volatility, in terms of game dynamics that are really, let's say, a perfect match for the Brazilian market. There is still, the way I see it, and based on our figures, still a big concentration. Probably this is something that happened, as Sergio mentioned, after, let's say, the crash games. Boom, players went perhaps to explore different slots, and but we still see a big concentration in one or two big providers. But the trend is very positive because we see for the first time, as I said before, suppliers that were, let's say, zero, having now, let's say, a big growth, double digits month on month. So I believe that from our side, any tool that we can provide to operators to develop, as Sergio said, let's say the tournaments, the social features, can accelerate the development of those games, and of course the innovation is very important because players are always looking for something new, and it's very important for smaller operators, right, to be the drive for that innovation by adapting their offer and to supply games that are new, vibrant, and that bring something fresh.
Exactly, and the operators they need, the traffic, the people to come over to their website in order to show off all these beautiful games and everything. So, Alessandro, I want to turn to you on that. I think we know each other over 10 years now, and you have been in the affiliates space like forever. So you're one of the best people to talk about, especially for the Brazilian market. What are the new rules around affiliate marketing, and how are affiliates adapting to this new reality?
Well, that's a very interesting topic because the regulation changed completely the affiliate landscape in Brazil. Right now, you cannot promote easy wins. That is something that before was everywhere, basically from affiliate side. Of course, you need to promote on responsible gaming on 18 plus, no, regarding the audience. You cannot promote bonuses anymore. In fact, a lot of operators are going to cashback, which is allowed in the regulation, and it's a very interesting topic as well. And right now we are doing some changes as well in our network, because right now we are accepting affiliates only that has a CNPJ, so the VAT number in Brazil. And we know that the taxes are very high, and not a lot of affiliates, especially affiliates from Brazil, they have CNPJ in place. And it's funny because sometimes they use the CNPJ from another business, from the family business and so on, to send invoices to us, and it's funny, this part. We are issuing right now from our company a certificate for our affiliates that the affiliate has a good traffic, works with us in a professional way. Because if you think about it, in Brazil they regulated everything. Platform provider, as Thiago said, slot provider, as Sergio said as well, operators, of course, but they are not regulating affiliates. So there are not certificates. There are no regulation for affiliates, and we are doing this because we believe that also affiliate needs to be regulated, and also affiliate needs to be professional. And for this reason, we are issuing this certificate from our company only. But with this certificate, you have access to more budget, to more operators, and stuff like that.
I see. And Alessandro is an experienced marketer, especially in the affiliate field. Um, what do you think works the best right now as a marketing channel? Because SEO traffic is there, but you need to build this up. Obviously, affiliate traffic, from different channels. I see after the regulations also, the paid campaigns are in the rise because the operators they need to get the licensing and everything, so the doors are open for them to run all these kind of campaigns too. So can you share your observation on the, let's say, best performing channels in Brazil?
Yeah, the best performing channels are usually tipsters, like football related, sportsbook related part. There are expert. They call it expert, like people that use to play roulette and stuff like that, slots as well. And there are a lot of paid media as well, but right now paid media it's a bit expensive because the cost per click for paid media in Brazil it's rising, and sometimes some operators, especially a regional one, as Thiago mentioned, they offer some deals that are not profitable for us, that we buy media on daily basis. Especially I went to Recife, that Thiago mentioned, to visit some clients, and they are not used to give some deals that we are used to, for example, with operators that they are based in São Paulo. So even the offer that they give to affiliates is very different from Recife to São Paulo. We know that Brazil is big, but if you think that from Recife to São Paulo it's almost 4 hours flight, you understand that is from Malta to Finland. So it's it's very, very different, the landscape,
Absolutely. Tiago, you are staying on top of the market, not only from the technology, but also, marketing, player experience and everything else. So I would like to also ask your opinion on the marketing side, the changing dynamics, especially in Brazil. Have you noticed a dramatic change in marketing and advertising strategies for iGaming brands which are targeting the Brazilian market?
Absolutely, we saw, because that translates directly into the numbers. Before, just to give you an idea, it was normal for a medium-sized operator of oddsgates to have above 10,000 registrations, 10,000 signups on a daily basis. We had days of 50,000, 60,000. A big operator would easily do 100,000 registrations with conversion rates of 70, 80%. Okay. I mentioned this before during the last conference we attended. Those days are over. Why? Because the time you had to attract those players, it passed, right? Also, let's say of course, professionalization of the industry, and they had a difficulty to complete your QIC, IDs, and of course, the new flow of registration allows the operator, or demands the operator, to bring traffic that is much more contextualized with the reality of the offer of a bookmaker. While before, you could have perhaps certain newcomers, players that were attracted by the bonus, or perhaps in some specific cases, a lack of responsibility of the marketing message, because the Brazilians that are following, let's say, this streaming, understand the translation of the expression renda extra. This is additional income, right? So we saw, not in our case, but we saw many operators, even big size operators, promising renda extra as a consequence of gambling habits. That's not responsible, right? So the effort and the transformation we saw is shifting, let's say, these bad examples into something sustainable. That is the most important. And that brings also the need to shift a budget from acquisition to retention, or to smarter ways of acquisition. As Alessandro mentioned, yes, paid media is getting more and more expensive. So we see here a lot of creativity. I was very disappointed when I saw operators, I wouldn't say banning affiliates, but perhaps pushing affiliates away, saying we are not supporting affiliates starting on this date. We saw very big operators doing this. And I think this is what smarter operators understood. Wow, we have a massive opportunity here because affiliates are doing this for so many years, and they represent such a big percentage of traffic. We need to work closer with these guys. And when I was hearing Alessandro sharing his opinion about the differences between Pernambuco and São Paulo specifically, I was a bit surprised because I always knew about, let's say, small differences and conception, some different business conception. But I think there is a lot of space now. Let's say originally it was the north pushing the south towards the professionalization of the gambling industry, because gambling was in the north way before than it was in the south. But perhaps now with this 2.0 phase where the market is coming, maybe we see the opposite, and things that are becoming normal in São Paulo and the southeast region becoming also normal in the north part of the country. But most of all, Faruk, answering your question, we saw a big shift of acquisition to retention, and now could the brand, let's say, become relevant and stay relevant in different channels?
Yeah, that's actually a very good overview. I noticed similar things with our clients at RevPanda agency. So obviously at the very beginning, they would like to rely on affiliate traffic because this is like kind of a performance-based model for them, and it makes sense. And then later we see they would like to explore different ways, especially they want to move to organic. And they would like at some point the ROI coming back from their investments in marketing. So let's say they work with some influencers and so on, and the name is somehow stuck on the player's mind, and they Google it. So they want to invest a little bit more on SEO. And then later programmatic advertising, we see, this is actually used especially for those, let's say, potential players. They come to the website and for some reason they just, bounce back, and you can capture them somewhere else, with a banner or something else. So this is also happening. And for sure, we see more and more investment in the social media field, like both of you mentioned. Sergio, have you seen, maybe any changes when it comes to the, let's say, marketing strategies that companies you work with? That's one thing I want to ask you, maybe your observation on that. And another thing is, and Thiago was mentioning, Brazil is a huge country. Are there some, let's say, changes in the game preferences in the, let's say, north and south of the country, for instance? What can you tell us?
Look, in terms of the preferences, nowadays the market has. I remember, I'm not sure if it was Thiago was mentioned that the market is very concentrated in a couple of providers and certain specific kind of game. So it's kind of difficult to identify on the players' preferences this difference specifically by the states. I mean directly, but through the comments that we receive from the different operators from different regions, we can, deduct what are they looking for in terms of satisfy the players' preferences. So I don't know. For instance, we have some clients from the south of the country or southeast region that they are more interested on the tournament features, and in the north they are more interested on our bonus buy features. So I could immediately identify that this, as I mentioned before, this is coming from the players at some point. But yes, in general terms, we see this kind of particularities. Yes.
I see. Gentlemen, I'd like to thank each of you, Thiago, Alessandro, Sergio, for helping us explore the Brazilian iGaming market in 2025, especially after the recent regulatory changes. We also had the chance to hear your top tips regarding player experience, marketing, building partnerships, technology, and other critical aspects. Thiago, before we wrap up the conversation today, I'd like to mention about the Future of iGaming 2050 report by the ODDSGATE team. It has 105 pages. I had the chance to read, and I even have some review. Soon I will be posting about it. And it covers almost everything on the future of iGaming through economic, social, environmental, technological, and even political lenses. Of course, I will drop the link, in the comments and the description for our listeners. But maybe you can tell us briefly on the report and what people can expect from it.
I think people can expect to a bit of crystal ball effects in the sense of understanding what might be the future of our industry. We procured here the best experts in our industry, and we have very big names of our industry that honored us with their presence and their opinion, their own insights about the future of the industry. And of course, we took also an expert academic research company that used the best techniques in order to allow us to have a data backed up research that could give people insights that are based on real data, expert insights, as I was saying, and also our own understanding as a software development company that also has, let's say, different services in terms of marketing and player insights. So what people can find, it's very easy. People can, in fact, understand based on historical data and based on what is the opinion of our experts and our own insights, what the industry can bring us, not only in terms of user acquisition, but in terms of user retention, new trends, new technologies, what can the gambling industry do and learn from other industries in order to apply player journeys and efficiency of operations that are much more desirable.
Tiago, as you know, I'm trying to stay on top of the content in the market, and I just keep an eye on the new reports. But this is a unique one because it is 2050. Like the trends over there, and I read some parts of it, like especially about the technology. I don't want to give too much spoilers, but even the climate change and so on, they are included in the reports. It's incredible. So I would like everyone to have a look from the link that I will drop in the description. That's all the time we have for today's RevPanda Live. Big thank you to our fantastic listeners. I'm sure you all found this conversation super useful. Please make sure you reach out to me or these gentlemen directly. I think LinkedIn would be the best way because all of them are super active on LinkedIn too. And if you have any questions, you can share with us. Just a quick reminder from our side, if you're heading to Malta for the next Valletta Summit, make sure you meet RevPanda team over there. Alessandro, probably you'll be there as well, right? For sure.
I will be there.
So,
Just
yeah,
a few hundred meters from my house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got your tickets, by the way, check out the link in the comments. We have got a surprise for you with a 20% discount as well. So thank you once again, gentlemen and everyone, and I will see you all at the next RevPanda Live session.